I want to talk about Rambam Maimonides, who is the most influential thinker ever in Jewish life. And I want to tell you what Maimonides would have said to young people. Young people face numerous challenges, but part of the challenge is internal. The challenges, of course, are around us. We want to look good, we want to be popular, we want to be successful, we want to be happy. And there are things that we think, if we had them, we'd be happy. But understand that in order to be happy, you have to be successful. In order to truly reap the rewards of life, you have to be in control of yourself. If you're not in control of yourself, you're not going to be happy. The worst thing for a young person, or for any person, is to have an addictive personality. What is the characteristic of an addictive personality? That's an emotional weakness that the person cannot seem to control. Maimonides establishes that the most important characteristic of a person is to be balanced. Now, what does it mean to be balanced? Regular. What does regular mean? Regular means that you're not beholden to anything that's motivating you. You don't get overly excited, but you don't get overly blown away. You're strong enough to deal with things, but you don't get wrapped up by them, that they overcome you. But the first thing I'll start off with is the problem that young people have with drinking and drugs. When I was a youngster, you always want to look good in front of other people. You wanted to be with it. Nobody wants to be considered outside of the pale. Maybe I was a little bit outside of the pale. I was a skinny kid with a big nose, and that put me at a disadvantage. But what happens in a person's life is that the person compensates for things that he's afraid of, and begins to do things in a way that the person may become addicted to those particular ways. I'll give you an example. People were insulting me, and in order to forget about their insults, I tried to put my mind into something else. And I got addicted into something very strange. I was only 14 years old at the time, but I enjoyed the outdoors, and I enjoyed the hunt for frogs. I would go into little streams and ponds to try to find big frogs, because they were considered a prize by this other guy that I knew. And we put them into a vat, and I must have caught about 20 frogs. And the hunt was exhilarating. But in the end, what was I doing? I was hurting something else, but I was addicted to that hunt. Now, in a similar way, we like to look good in front of our friends, or we like to have what we think is a good time. And in doing so, we take challenges, we take dares, we try to behave just like anybody else, and we think that there's nothing wrong with certain things. But Maimonides says, how do you know that a person is balanced, in harmony? The answer is that the person can say no whenever he wants. When he realizes that something is going beyond what it should be doing, the person says, no, I'm not going to do that. That's a sign that the person's well balanced. That's a sign that the person's in control. If you take a drink at a party, it may not be the end of the world. But if you can't say no to another drink, if you have a need to be high, or you can't say no to somebody else who's giving you the drinks, who, if you're a girl, they may want a favor from you that you would ordinarily not give unless you were drunk. If you can't say no, then you've got a problem. You're not in harmony, not in balance, you're not in control. The most important factor in a young person's life is to be in control. To be in control is that you're able to say no to something, that you're able to stop something. If a person enjoys watching baseball or basketball or football and excludes other things and neglects their work and neglects their homework and neglects the family, that person's addicted to television, to sports. And it's not a good addiction because it's taken the person away from what he really should be doing. It's okay, it's a diversion, but a diversion means that I do it for a while and then I can say no and I go away and do my thing. But if I've got to see it, if I've got to find out what's going on, I'm hooked. I'm addicted. Now, addiction to a baseball game may not be so harmful as being addicted to marijuana or some other drugs. Because as a result of that, my driving gets impaired. My ability to decide things goes cuckoo. And so, one of the things that you have to learn is the ability to say no. And if you can't say no, then you're addicted and you're too weak to be able to start and do it in little bits and pieces. When can you take something and not be afraid of it? When you can leave it any time you want to and you actually do leave it. But if you don't leave it and you don't go away from the party until you're smashed, if you don't go get involved with some kids and you don't stop until you're drinking six-pack after six-pack and you don't know what the heck you're doing, then you're addicted. Then you have to stop. And you have to stop doing that thing because you've gotten out of control. Balance, the word for balance is that you're in control. And this goes to the heart of what a person's supposed to be like. What am I supposed to be like? I'm supposed to be balanced. I'm not supposed to be arrogant, but I'm supposed to be confident. I'm not supposed to be fearful, but I got to be careful. I'm not supposed to be a joker just making fun of everything, but I have to be cheerful. I'm not supposed to go ahead and throw all my money away, but I got to be charitable. I got to lend a helping hand to people when they need to. I'm not supposed to be a stingy SOB, but I do have to be judicious how I spend my money. This is all part of balance. You have to learn how to be balanced. Now you have responsibilities and I have responsibilities. We have to first and foremost fulfill our responsibilities. That is what we have to do in order to be a success in life. If you have a store, if you got a job, if you have a big business, the most important thing in that is you've got to be ready to do what is necessary to make you think your job a success, your store a success, your business a success, your friends a success. Whatever is your responsibility, you've got to make sure that it's successful. Your first responsibility in the school year is your school. You have a responsibility to do well in school as best as you can. Does that mean you got to become a bookworm and you got to become neurotic and you got to just look at the books all day and all night? Well, if you did that, maybe you'll be a little bit more successful, but the answer to that is no. But you have to do the work. And you got to do the work on time. And you got to present nice papers. And you got to participate in class. And if you're not doing that, then you're not balanced because you're not in control. Because you're not doing what you're responsible to do. Just getting by is not being responsible. Doing the best that you can, and doing it cheerfully, and doing it in a timely fashion, and making sure that everything that you give is neat and nice, that's being responsible. That doesn't mean you're neurotic about it, but that means you're in control, you're balanced. Same thing is in dealing with parents, same thing dealing with boyfriends, girlfriends. If you can't say no, even when you know you're supposed to say no, then you're addicted.